Coming up, we take a look at updates to SharePoint Server 2016 and advances for coexisting with Office 365 services, including your options for integrating SharePoint 2016 with the online services that make sense for your needs. And a recap of the capabilities delivered with SharePoint Server 2016 and Feature Pack 1, including hybrid auditing and admin action logging, custom tiles for the app launcher, and the OneDrive for Business modern user experience. In addition, what's coming with Feature Pack 2 with developer investments such as the SharePoint framework and more. When we shipped SharePoint Server 2016 last year, we shared a vision of our server that is both cloud-born and future-proof. And at the crux of this is two things. The first is a change to our update model, which allows us to deliver cumulative updates as well as security fixes and new features, which are called feature packs more frequently. From the general availability of SharePoint Server 2016 in the spring of 2016, we released our first feature pack around 8 months later in November. And Feature Pack 2 is scheduled for release later this year. And the second is the introduction of a converged codebase with SharePoint Online to ensure that innovation from the cloud can be integrated into SharePoint Server and vice versa. Before I walk you through the significance of our current and future feature packs, let's look at how cloud coexistence between SharePoint Server 2016 and Office 365 is designed to work. You'll of course need Azure Active Directory integration as a prerequisite for enabling hybrid services. But then there are really three main ways that you can benefit from hybrid coexistence with Office 365. The first is app discovery via our app launcher in Office 365, which allows you to discover and place your Office 365 and custom line of business apps in one place. The second is Office 365 app configuration, where you configure Office apps with SharePoint Server 2016. And the third is data discovery, which allows you to integrate search and taxonomy and auditing between Office 365 and SharePoint on-premises. Let me show you what it means in practice, starting at the top layer, app discovery. Anything that is web accessible can be a custom tile within your app launcher. For example, here you can see I have a news feed, OneDrive, and Sites running from my on-prem server, in addition to an HR application in my app launcher, and Office 365 services like Exchange and calendaring. Moving on to the second layer, we give you the ability to configure Office 365 apps with SharePoint Server 2016. For example, you can selectively redirect specific users to store files and content in OneDrive for Business. I can select the users that I want, be it an individual or membership in an audience, which is based on a security group. In this example, we'll select our cloud users, we'll validate that, and we'll add them for redirection to Office 365 for OneDrive for Business services. And now they can benefit from the additional storage capacity in the cloud and can access their content from both mobile apps and clients. In addition, as you can see here, you can also embed Yammer conversations into your on-premises sites and pages. And speaking of SharePoint sites, you can set up integration to provide a single aggregate view of site recommendations, memberships, and other gestures, in addition to sites you may have frequented, as well as news from SharePoint sites that you're a member of. Real-time streaming and digital media distribution is another thing that you can take advantage of. We can embed the video from an online source such as Office 365 video, as you can see here in our site. And then we can benefit from the rich encoding as well as streaming that Office 365 video provides. In addition, you now have one common identity model, and those videos follow the same access control list assigned to your SharePoint sites. And the last thing that I want to show you here for Office 365 app configuration is the ability to enable contextual and permission-based discovery of your content and people across on-premises and the cloud with Office Delve. The easy way in Office Delve to delineate between the on-premises and online content is that the on-premises content will contain an app icon, whereas the online content has a thumbnail preview. So as I've shown you, you can determine the level of integration that makes sense for you. There's a lot more guidance on how to go about these configurations at the link below. To configure most of what I just showed you, you would use the new SharePoint Hybrid Configuration Wizard. As you can see here, you can select the level of hybrid integration that you want. Much of these coexistence features were released last spring, which brings me to our third layer of Office 365 coexistence, data discovery, through hybrid search, unified auditing, and taxonomy. The latter two delivered with Feature Pack 1 last November. Feature packs enable us to deliver new hybrid capabilities, distinct on-premises capabilities that you've requested, and to bring specific cloud-based innovations to on-premises. Let me show you a few highlights of Feature Pack 1, starting with hybrid auditing. Here I am in the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center. In this particular example, we've already generated an audit log search via search and investigation. You can see we have both activities across Office 365 as well as on-premises. For example, we have an on-premises activity here that we can drill into. And we can see that this user uploaded a file to shared documents on an on-premises SharePoint site. In addition, we can see cloud activity as well, such as authentication activity. In this particular case, Garth's user service principal was updated. We didn't stop there though. We are also bringing you discrete on-premises auditing experiences with the new administrative action logging capability, which allows us to capture all administrative events on-premises. This has been an important aspect of your security and needs, and we've heard your feedback. We can use the new PowerShell commandlet, as you can see here, merge SP usage log, and then specify the identity of administrative actions. When running this commandlet, it will return all administrative events that have transpired within the server farm environment, as you can see here on the screen. In this particular case, a new user was added to the SharePoint Farm Administrators group by the administrator of the SharePoint Farm. Another much requested on-premises capability that we're delivering in Feature Pack 1 is the improved min role for smaller farm deployments. Here we're at in Central Administration. We can navigate to Convert Server Role in this farm. By expanding the roles, you can see the initial roles that we released with min role at RTM, which include the application role, the front-end role, the distributed cache role, the search role, and the custom role. However, with Feature Pack 1, you'll realize two new roles. We've combined application and search and front-end with distributed cache to support smaller min role deployments. By combining these roles, we've allowed you to have smaller server farm deployments. To put this into context, in the past you needed 8 servers for high availability, and by consolidating multiple roles into a single instance, you can now deploy 2 servers as opposed to 8 servers to fulfill high availability needs. One thing to note here, in the past with our former update cadence, none of this would have happened. We've implemented the top 2 highly requested on-premises features within 8 months. But as mentioned before, the Feature Pack model also helps us accrue cloud innovation back to SharePoint Server. One such example is the OneDrive for Business web user experience for a better mobile and responsive experience. So here we are in SharePoint Server 2016. Through the app launcher, I can select OneDrive for Business. As you can see here, we have the new OneDrive for Business modern user experience that we accrued from Office 365. I can quickly sort and filter my content. In addition, I can switch between views, all with the highest levels of performance. I can also select an item, such as the Litware design proposal, and then use the information pane to see what activity has transpired against that particular document, to include the recent activity as well as sharing activity. In addition, we've also brought from the cloud the new Move To and Copy To commands. So now I can select a document and I can quickly move it to another location, such as shared with everyone. Now we've focused many of the new feature improvements in Feature Pack 1 on our top user voice requests and towards better empowering IT. With Feature Pack 2 coming later this year, our focus is on giving you a standard development environment across your work on premises and in the cloud. The SharePoint framework lets you create engaging modern web parts using open frameworks and tools and building great experiences with SharePoint pages. It also enables you to build more custom experiences by integrating with services such as Microsoft Flow and your custom business logic to automate your business processes. Here I am running my app part through my local SharePoint workbench. As you can see through the authoring canvas, we can create and select a web part and then manipulate that web part in addition to that web part's properties. Since I'm running a Gulp server locally, I can also test this web part in the cloud. So I can navigate to that same web part, select the property pane, and then configure that web part to connect to a SharePoint list. And all of this will be coming to SharePoint on premises with Feature Pack 2. Here's how this works. You can build web parts with the tools that you would use with SharePoint Online. For example, Node and Gulp Server. You can then view it in the SharePoint workbench, and then publish it to the gallery in SharePoint on premises. The web part can be populated from content in the cloud or on premises. So this was an overview of SharePoint Server 2016 updates and advances and how we are making it easier for you to coexist with Office 365 apps and cloud capabilities through an accelerated release cadence driven by our new feature pack model. And also, your voice makes a difference, so please keep giving us your feedback on user voice. You can learn more about and download Feature Pack 1 from the link below. And Feature Pack 2 will be available later this year. Keep watching Microsoft Mechanics for the latest updates. And thanks for watching.